A very good morning, right? I think you are used to the idea that I'm out here walking with my ankle weight, so I don't need to provide the evidence thereof. Right, so it's now 10 minutes to 5, and the carer arrives around about 5:30, so I can walk around for approximately 40 minutes if I want to. I was actually awake more than 2 hours ago, but at one point I got dressed to go out, and I thought, nah, I'll do it later when the sun comes up. And instead, I went back on the sofa, which is where I sleep. You can't even see me. Right, yes, I went back on the sofa and went on Facebook. Not so much that I was looking for inspiration, but it will come eventually. So I have a theme, but I'll come back to that shortly. Because just as I plugged my headphones in to begin, it's nice and peaceful out here. As I plugged my headphones in, God reminded me of something. He always provides me with my best lines, and it's to do with the theme. So I've got quite a while, so I can go into it very slowly. He reminded me of the song I wrote when I was in my early 20s. It was about 21 or 22-ish. And it begins, why should I stand around and watch while someone runs my life and fail to do the things I want because they don't approve? He just reminded me of that because it's pertinent to what I'm going to talk about. And, gosh, slow down, Elizabeth Young. And he, all right, I'll just give you my backstory slightly. When I was in my 30s, but I didn't grow up. I've got to slow down speaking because when I'm walking and sort of like my heart rate's up, the rate, my words per minute go up as well, so I need to slow down. Right, so when I was in my 30s, as I began, I didn't grow up with my father. I think I saw him once in my life after the age of roughly 5 years old. And he told me, we used to talk because you could say I'm a chip off the old block. I'm like him. Even mother would agree, but she wouldn't agree in a nice way. It would be sort of like detrimental. So he said to me two things. One thing was that when I was young, a small child, and I must have been small because, as I said, didn't see him after the age of 5. He said when I was little, as I said, very little, there was nothing he could do to get me to do what he wanted me to do. Even if he was going to beat me, nothing at all, no threat, no nothing, would make me do what he wanted me to do. So then, being somebody who is a firm believer, believes in God, he took the issue to God to ask, how do I manage her? And what he got back from God was that he should reason with me. He shouldn't try to force my will. He should reason with me. And he said that's what he started to do. He said anytime he wanted me to do something, he would talk to me nicely and he would explain to me why he wanted me to do it. And Obviously, I was an intelligent child. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to reason with me, would you? At that age, right? So he would reason with me, and he said I did everything nicely. Once he started reasoning with me, he realized as well. He said that God had sent him to me. Sorry, what am I talking about? God had sent me to him with my character intact, and he wasn't to change me. He was to guide me. You see the difference? I'll come back to the other thing at the end if I remember. Actually, I'll just say it now. Right, so we grew up with strangers in Jamaica. The time we lived there, we didn't live with family, we lived with strangers. When I say strangers, a local woman, my parents sent money and she looked after us. And in fact, there were two. Am I crossing? Yes. Yeah, I'll go this way. I'll probably do a loop. Right, so yeah, gosh, I got here quickly, 6 minutes. Right, so the other woman, she, the first one, she was the one that really, I guess, instilled things into us, and then, the other one was put in charge. So there were two. It might seem a bit horrible or ungrateful or whatever, but didn't really get anything positive from the second one. It's the first one who, if you like, she raised us alongside her 7 grandchildren, so there were 12 of us in total, and she treated each of us equally. The only time she would sort of make a differentiate, I can't say the word. The only time she would specify the difference was when she would say to us, when she was beating us, and she'd say to us, the 5, that I don't think she beat the little ones much, my younger brother and sister, but she would say that she needs to make sure that we don't spoil because we're other people's children, kind of thing. Right, so she placed the emphasis, that's the word I was looking for. She emphasized the fact that she needed to make sure that we didn't come to ruin because she was being paid to look after us. Right, so anyway, so that's that. But my father said that it was God who told him to leave us. And people would think, how comes? I can tell you for nothing that my mother would have ruined. I can't speak for anybody else. I can speak for myself. My mother would have ruined us. Not because she's wicked, right? But it's a bit like there are different types of drivers. You got those who drive carefully and you got those who drive recklessly. And some know what they're doing, others don't. It's that kind of thing, and the same with parenting. Some know what they're doing and others don't. Right. Anyway, so moving forward from all of that, the next point I would like to make is, I said I posted on Facebook. There were 2 things in particular. First one is Madonna. So basically this is about parenting and about tyranny and whatever. We will see, you will hear as I go along. Right, so Madonna took some children from Africa, and she has a boy called David. I believe he's 16 now. And the article I saw, I posted on Facebook, and I stated my views. I said that the only reason Madonna can allow her son to be dressing in her clothes, because she's saying about he wears her clothes and it gets on her nerves that he looks better in her clothes than she does. The only way she can get away with doing that is because the people around her are keeping quiet. Goes back to the video I did last night about timidness, where people refuse to open their mouth. I talk about the woman in the swimming pool, the Chinese woman, who saw and heard, but she might as well have not seen and heard, with regard to what went on. Some people will just turn a blind eye and a deaf ear. The Madonna can only get away with doing this to this black boy because the black boy doesn't have anybody in his corner. I don't see her doing that to Guy Ritchie's son, the son they share. I don't see him wearing her clothes because Guy Ritchie probably wouldn't tolerate that. So in other words, people get away with what they can get away with because nobody says anything, right? So on my part, how very fortunate I was to have a father like mine who recognized God as the higher authority. There are some people, some parents, they are the only authority and they destroy their children. The other thing I posted on Facebook, or rather shared, was a video of a woman introducing her young son to his newborn baby brother. I assume it's a boy. And you see the excitement on the older boy's face, and he, grab hold of the baby, and it's like, little children, it's mine, kind of thing. And then the mother is sort of enthusiastic with it, and the mother kind of separates them, takes the newborn away from the older son, and he just instantly goes into meltdown mode. And I got to thinking, maybe that's when children do that sort of thing, obviously they need guidance, as was the case with my father. He said God told him to reason with me, not try to change me, but to guide me, kind of thing. So the thought came to me. All of this is just sort of coming together as we go. Like I said at the beginning, that God reminded me about the song I wrote. Why should I stand around and watch while someone runs my life and fail to do the things I want because they don't approve? So, this is long before political correctness, by the way. Yeah, so this child is there and he's, melting down. And I'm thinking, children are pure and they haven't as yet learned to obey. And when I say obey, I'm talking about obeying man, obeying the commandments of man. So I got to thinking it's not entirely a bad thing when a child is spirited, because they haven't learned, in the same way that they're not politically correct. They just come out and say whatever. That is, see, here comes God again, reminding me that we should be as little children. Right? That's what it says in the Bible. We should be as little children. So, I've taught this lesson in Sunday school before. A long history when I used to go to church. Being as little children. And I did, at some points, point out that little children can be rude. They just come out and say whatever's on their mind and so on, because I'm that type of person. It's not that I'm rude, it's just that sometimes people don't like what you say. When you speak the truth, obviously, everybody's experienced this at some point. You say something that is true and people don't like it. Hence cancel culture. Right, so these are the thoughts that as a consequence, I just, like I said, I didn't come out on the road at that particular point. Not sure why I didn't. It wasn't laziness. I just didn't feel inclined to. I even thought that I would do stretching exercises today instead of walking. But once the inspiration flowed and I could see a pattern, it's like I said, I want to walk purposefully. I don't just want to be walking around. I can take the opportunity to record videos while I'm out here. Oh, I love that sky. Look how blue it is. Yeah. So basically, that's the theme. It's about God gave us free will, and the minute we are born, we become subjected to somebody, whether they've got a lot of knowledge or limited knowledge, telling us what to do, and it may not be in line with what God wants us to do. Again, I say I'm very fortunate. The other thing, I talk about this in the book as well, I don't drink milk, and I recall my mother saying that even as a young child I wouldn't drink it. So obviously I came hardwired not to drink milk, and I talk about being fortunate enough to not be amongst adults who would force me to drink it. I remember the doctor from Super Size versus Super Skinny, when he was saying to me, because they tried to do this thing to me. Man, that's where I was kicking off. Because they contacted me in the vetting process. They got in touch with me by phone and asked me if there's anything I don't eat or drink. And I told them I don't drink milk. But because I know human nature, and I know that people find your weaknesses and use them against you, kind of thing. It didn't surprise me when we were filming, and one afternoon they presented me with a pint glass of milk and 8 slices of cheese on toast. Cheap cheese, cheap bread, because with TV they're not going to give you the best. So no sooner did I see the pint glass of milk, I kicked off. Straight away I kicked off, because I said, whose idea was this? And it's a woman producer, and you should have seen her face light up, because these people don't know me from anywhere. And she thought she was getting good content, because they're going to cut that bit where I'm kicking off and splice it with something else and make it look like what it's not. So right, so I'm there kicking off and even saying I feel like throwing this in somebody's face, because I was really kicking off. So they, like I said, the crew's filming and all of this, and the producer thinks, yeah man, I've got gold. I could see her face, and I said to her, don't think you're getting anything out of me, because everybody who knows me knows that this is how I behave when people are doing to me what I've told them I don't like. Her face dropped, and that bit of gold that she thought she dug never made it to the program. Right, so I didn't give them much to work with, because I was kicking off a lot and in context. So it would have been difficult for them to kind of take one thing and make it something else. But also the doctor claimed that I was going to get brittle bones because I don't drink milk. That's better. So when I mentioned this to Mother, she said, tell them to go away. Right, because I'm whatever age she was at the time, and I don't drink milk, and I don't, there's nothing wrong with my bones. Do you see? So even though she was how she was, we didn't get raised on a poor diet. We ate properly. So despite whatever, I've made videos and I've talked about the treatment and all of that, the way she behaved, kicked me out at 17 and all of that. Despite everything, we ate properly. And I have to tell you that if it wasn't that she taught us responsibility from a young age, I shouldn't say we, I should only be talking for myself really. Right, so I learned responsibility from a young age, that nobody is going to come and rescue me if I get into trouble. Therefore, I have to make good choices. Right, so if I've never been in trouble with the police or anything like that, but you see, when your mother tells you, don't, if you see others jumping on, I can't remember, my sister always corrects me, you see others jumping on 2 feet, you jump on 1. In other words, don't copy people, right, because your circumstances are not the same as theirs. So I'm going to say I again, even though it's we. I learned from a very young age to take responsibility for my choices. So this is why when everybody was running scared, when I say everybody, some, not all, and wearing the mask because we're all going to die, and taking the vaccine, I uploaded a video to YouTube and they took it down. But I think perhaps they looked at it and they saw where I was coming from, so they didn't give me a strike or anything. But it was a video where mother suddenly developed lung cancer and died very quickly. And I know why. Right? I have discernment. And I told her, don't take the you-know-what vaccine. And she went ahead and did it because her friends took it and there's nothing wrong with them. And also, doctor knows best. So despite instilling into us to take responsibility for ourselves, for our choices, for our actions, she listened to people. I mean, I talk about being connected to God, having a proper relationship with God, that you can't do it if you're timid. There are so many reasons why it is impossible to have a proper relationship with God, to hear Him and to act upon the instructions. If you are already listening, no man can have 2 masters. Thank you for reminding me of that. No man can have 2 masters, because he's going to serve the one and neglect the other, or ignore the other. So if you're listening to the science, you're listening to doctors, you're listening to professionals, to your friends, to whoever, that doesn't leave room for God, does it? So, like, on my part, I've had people say to me, you don't listen to anybody. This is some idiot trying to pass on their ignorance. You don't listen to anybody. Or I would get people, I remember one church leader saying to me, you'd be better off being like sister so-and-so. And I'm thinking, what? Because sister so-and-so is timid. Because, I used to run roughshod through them. Sister so-and-so is timid. Oh, so that you can control me, kind of thing, Always, why don't you, if you were more like your sister, they're talking about the sister that I'm looking after, who's very timid, who couldn't open her mouth to anybody, who let my mother get away with all sorts. She was like the enabler. That sister, you want me to be more like that? Right, so I have a long history of being in conflict with people. Again, it's the same thing at the pool, the gym, where these women think that, they've been there 40 years. They've been there 20, 30, however many years. And they sort of act as though they own the place. And then they come up, this is why I'm always in conflict with people. You come up against somebody like me, I'm not a respecter of persons, right? It's not so much that I'm going to do what I want to do. It's just that I'm not going to do what you would like me to do, right? So I go back again to Madonna's black boy that she took out to Africa. The son that she has with Guy Ritchie doesn't wear dresses. He doesn't wear her clothes because the father wouldn't permit this. Right, when she was married to Guy Ritchie, he had her under manners. Right, that's what it seemed like to me anyway. Right? So, she's not allowed to do to his son what she's doing to the boy from Africa. I'm not going to say he's her son. He's the boy from Africa who doesn't have anybody to represent him. Because she can get away with it. So daylight's coming, so I'm going to sort of terminate my walk now. But I'm going to say that, well, we are not slaves. Right? Because even if someone should take us and shackle us, they cannot shackle our minds or our spirits. It is impossible to do that. Right? So they have other ways of doing it. So the things we watch, the things we listen to, and so on. So I gave up TV more than 20 years ago. I will only watch sports for entertainment. But the thing is, I can take it or leave it. I only listen to music when I choose to. I can take it or leave it. So we should be. I hate because it sounds like I'm giving advice when we. I'm gonna either say we or I, and then when I say I, it seems like I've got eye trouble. I. And when I say we, it sounds like I'm giving advice. So you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. You can't really win. But I hope you get where I'm coming from. So the point I make is that we do not have to surrender our free will mentally, spiritually. Even if and the thing is, it is less likely that anybody's going to come for us if they know how we are, that we have a mouth and we're not afraid to use it. Because I'm a tiny little person, and I basically live freely. Because what I said to my sister was yesterday, I said, has anybody come in here to talk to us about anything? She said no. And I said, that's it, because they might be able to do it out there, but they can't come in here and do it because my rules apply. And when I say my rules apply, my sister has her free will. I asked her what she wanted for dinner yesterday. I offered her macaroni cheese, and she asked for sausage and chips, followed by ice cream. So she got what she wanted. I didn't say you're going to have macaroni cheese, which is what parents do to children. They said, like I said, nobody forced me to drink milk. But I was born, fortunately, to parents who, for whether inadvertently or deliberately, I speak again for myself, taught me independence of mind and spirit, just as God wanted. So I'm one of the lucky ones, if you like, even though I'm stuck on the sofa, on my sister's sofa for 2 years, and I don't have freedom of movement as such. I have freedom of spirit and freedom of mind, which is all good. So now I'm going to end this and wish you all a very good morning. Have a good day and a great weekend. Take care. Look after yourselves. Bye.